The Crumbling Staircase by Richard Elsliger. I still think about my old home, my old life, but such thoughts permeate my mind less and less as I get older. These thoughts, though infrequent, tend to creep into my mind more on those solitary nights as the weekend begins. It's Friday night again, and I find myself remembering my grandmother and my life with her growing up in her house. I grew up in a modest working-class neighborhood, and my childhood was a relatively happy one. But life is transitory. In time I left my home and left my childhood behind, as we all do. I live in another state now. My grandmother is gone, and her home, my ancestral home, is long demolished. Now, in those rare times I visit my hometown, I see two houses in the place of her one. It still hurts to see the old street, maybe not so much because the house is gone, but rather because those times are gone and can never return. I feel run down at the moment, having gone through hell at work today, fixing everyone's computer issues on demand. I need to call it an early night and get to bed. I shut off the television with the hope of getting at least 7 hours of sleep tonight. The older I get, the harder it becomes to sleep through the night without some interference, some bump in the dark, a howling wind perhaps, or a distressed animal baying at the moon, anything to interrupt my sleep pattern and take away from an otherwise restful night. I turn off my nightstand and pull the covers over me. I can hear the furnace blazing downstairs. This winter has proven far more brutal than its predecessors, the slap of its icy hand relentless and cruel. The only consolation is less snow to tromp through. I stare up at the dark ceiling, my eyes open, fixated on the nothingness. For no reason I can articulate, my urgency for sleep has abandoned me. For several minutes my mind continues its excursion down the alleys and boulevards of my past. I lay in bed, motionless, and my breathing becomes shallow. My eyes start to close. In less than a minute I'm asleep, or so I think. But I must be asleep, because now I find myself in a different bed, a different home. From the partially open door to my bedroom, I see my grandmother in the kitchen, seemingly unaware of my presence. I watch her movements in disbelief, as if watching a movie from my past. I'm home again. Is it possible? Could it be? I become hyper-alert and sit up ramrod in my old bed. The brown wooden walls are unmistakable, and there I see my old black and white television with the rabbit ears perched on the bookcase. This cannot be. My grandmother is doing the dishes and singing one of her favorite songs. Hearing her songbird voice is a shock to my senses, because I haven't heard that voice in decades. I never thought I would ever hear it again. I look out the window of my bedroom, and a gray twilight permeates the translucent curtains. Am I home? Is this real? I get up from my bed and find myself fully dressed, wearing blue jeans and my old varsity blue university jacket from the days I attended the University of Toronto. My dog pokes his way through the half-closed bedroom door and jumps up on my bed. He sniffs around looking for something, but does not notice my physical presence. He seems to know I am there, but cannot find me. He curls up on the blankets and I pet him, yet he fails to react and remains motionless. I step outside my bedroom and in the faintest of voices call to my grandmother. I am fearful to see her reaction. Would it be one of recognition? Or would she scream in terror? Would it invite a reciprocal conversation? Or would it be a unilateral talk with a spectral spirit? But there is no reaction. She didn't hear me. I look back to my old bedroom and see my dog asleep on my bed. How can my dog be here? He's been gone for 40 years. I turn once more to the kitchen to see my grandmother gingerly singing away. I am ecstatic. I have so much to tell her about my personal life. I know this is a dream, but I must tell her. I take a step closer to her and she continues to sing and do dishes, unaware of my very existence. I touch her on the shoulder, but she does not react. I wave my hand in front of her eyes, and it seems as though she sees right through me. She continues to sing and merrily do dishes. I call to her, but she ignores me. I try everything, yet I am unable to make her aware in any way, and it makes me incredibly sad. I have so much to say, so many things I should have said before she left this world. I take a seat at the kitchen table and examine my surroundings. An old familiarity paraded before my disbelieving eyes, a ghostly place pulled from the cobwebs of my mind. Why is this all happening to me? Here I sit at home, my home, yet I am powerless to interact with those that matter. After some minutes, I get up from the chair and walk to the living room. The dreadful orange carpeting is still there, so reminiscent of the 1970s, yet so welcoming to my eyes. The bird's eye maple coffee table and end tables are in their usual spots, with the ornate brass lamps that adorn them. I turn to the adjoining room and see my old piano. I wonder if I begin to play, will I get my grandmother's attention? I sit at the piano bench and start playing Chopin's Nocturne in E-flat major, her favorite. She stops singing for a moment, as if my playing echoed in her conscience. She seems to notice. Then she starts singing again, dismissive of my effort to get her attention. I stop playing out of frustration and walk to the front porch. Everything is the same as I remember it. Nothing is out of place, right down to the floor tiles and the old-style hot water radiators. It is so good to be home. I see the old rotary dial phone on the table, and my first thought is that I must call my friend, my dear departed friend Dan. Would I reach him if I tried? This may be my only chance. I pick up the receiver and dial the number. I hear him pick up. "Hello," he says. "Dan, it's me. It's Richard." "Hello?" he repeats. Dan, it's me, Richard. Hello?" "Dan, can you hear me?" I shout. He hangs up, leaving me with an empty dial tone. Crestfallen, I place the receiver back to its cradle and push the phone away, disgusted that I am unable to speak to my friend one last time. I step outside into the twilight. My dog seems to want to follow me. I hold the door open for him, but something keeps him from leaving the house. I call to him. "Come on, pal. Outside, let's go," I say. He looks fearful and tries to step out, but cannot. I let the door gently close behind me. My dream seems to lead me by the hand, taking me to wherever it wants to go. I am grateful to be home and see my past, to hear these pleasantly haunting voices for one more time. I step out to the front yard and see the old house with its brick fascia and veranda. A pair of lawn chairs are poised on the stone patio, a place where we once sat in distant times, such faraway times. I take in a breath of fresh air and walk around the perimeter of the house and find myself in the backyard. The old apple tree is still there, and the peach tree as well. Further back, the honeysuckle blooms, as it always did in times past. My father's old 1932 Ford is off to the side, still where he left it, with the good intention to rebuild the old hot rod. It never came to pass, and the sad old Ford got hauled away one day. Now here it is once more. I walk over to the Ford and sit in it as I did in my youth, imagining roaring down the street with friends in the rumble seat, motoring along like time would never end. I feel I am in a distant world, a world I never want to leave. From the driver's seat, I look back to the house, making sure it was still there. What I see are tremendous cracks in the foundation, horrible cracks that never existed in reality. The house appears to have subsided. That isn't right. I stepped out of my father's 32 coupe and approached the damaged wall for a closer look. The damage looks serious. The foundation split apart, and the ground feels spongy beneath my feet. Next to the damaged foundation is a steel trap door, embedded in the ground, a strange deviation from my fondest remembrances of her house. It has a chain handle, and I pull on it, opening the mysterious door. A dark mist rises from the cavernous depths, carrying with it an awful stench. I see a flight of crumbling steps down the entranceway, a portal that descends into blackness. I hear something deep below, a sound rising from the depths. I listen intently and can hear words that wither away in the distance. I hear my grandmother's voice. She sounds in distress. I begin to descend the steps, bracing the cave-like walls to maintain my balance. She is calling to me, and I respond that I will be there as fast as I can. Water seeps from the porous, dank walls, and the stairs prove to be incredibly slippery. Portions of the steps disintegrate beneath my feet, threatening my balance, but I press on into the murky depths below. I see flickering light further down, and as I draw closer, I see that the walls are lined with torches. These guiding lights lead me on, enticing me further into the unknown, though I no longer hear my grandmother's voice. When I get to the end of the steps, a shadowy, large chamber opens up before me, but it is shrouded in darkness. It smells of death. I retreat back to the staircase and pull on one of the torches from the walls, and it lights up the area. My eyes are drawn to the walls of the chamber, and they appear a chalky white from the flickering torch. I touch the wall next to the entranceway and secure my balance. It feels unusual as I run my hand over the blanched, chalky white surface, sensing the strange contours. The curves are bizarre, unfitting for a wall, and they defy any sense of logic. When I shine the light on my hand, much to my horror, the wall is made of bones, and in my mind I have no doubt these bones are human. I retreat backwards toward the last step of the staircase and fall, hitting my head. My body sprawls out over the dilapidated steps, and sharp pains shoot through every nerve. I take a moment to assess my situation and realize I am still okay. As I recover and stand to reposition myself, I see them. Scattered upon the floor are hundreds of human skulls. The skulls are all pointed at me, hollowed eye sockets staring vacantly in my direction. I feel an overwhelming need to vomit. I need to run, but before I can initiate my retreat, I feel a gentle wind upon my neck that paralyzes me with fear. From that gentle wind, I hear ghostly voices. I turn to face them. The voices plead to me with soft, desperate tones. They speak to me in different languages, words that I strangely understand. They inform me, these voices, of who they are and what they want. These are the voices of my ancestors, all of them, stretching across time. They beg for me to tell their stories. They implore me to pass on their histories to the next generation. I speak to them in protest, telling them I know nothing of their lives and do not even know where they are buried. I motion to leave, and from the walls they reach to seize me with bony, outstretched arms and clutching skeletal hands. I turn to run, and a hand grabs my leg. I kick at it and release myself from its grasp. Their howls grow fainter as I scramble up the stairs until I'm once again on the surface. The foundational cracks that plague the wall have gone, and the pit of descending stairs has vanished. I run to the front door of my grandmother's house and pull on it frantically, but the front door is locked. I need to get back to my room. I bang on the door, shouting to be let in, but my grandmother does not come to the door. I can still hear her inside singing without a care. I feel a strong pull that lifts me away from the house and catapults me backward. My ancestral home is slipping away, and the street where I once lived grows smaller in the distance as I ascend toward the sky. I try as I might to resist, but it is of no use. My eyes snap open, and I am back in my bedroom, back in Illinois, so far away from my prior life, so far removed from my ancestral home in both time and space. Daylight invades my window, signaling the dawn. I sit at the edge of my bed, soaked in sweat, recovering from this surreal vacation to my past. So real was the dream, I swear that it actually happened. I pull my phone from the nightstand. I want to call my grandmother. I want to call my best friend. I want to call the past. Rays of sunlight strike my face and reality hits me. I call my aging father instead, my last surviving ancestor. We need to talk. He has a story and it needs to be told.